Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, Ken? I see you in there before everybody else. I'm trying to get set up here a little better. Get rid of that stuff. How's it going today, Ken? I was kind of in the middle of, I got the video done finally today that I've been trying to get done. Turned out to be a lot longer video than I anticipated. So I've been converting the file size, and then I just figured out I've converted it to the wrong damn size. Oh well. But that's the way it works. So now I have to convert it to the proper file type. But it's a pretty dang large file. I probably should have done it in multiple um, sessions, but I didn't. So I kind of have to live with it the way it is, I think. But it's a bit big. It's over 1.5 gigabytes now. It was way bigger than that. It was 3.5 gigabytes. But maybe we can get it crunched down some more. Oh, you did? Well, that's great. Which one did you watch? The whole thing or just parts of it or one of the multiple videos with like 4 parts or something? Some of them can be pretty long, that's for sure. I was actually aiming to get this one a lot shorter, and it turned out to be over 2 hours. No matter how hard I try, I always end up having a big video. I just don't like to cut parts out that people may need to paint. When you skip parts, that gets frustrating for people. And in fact, most people, and you probably see on YouTube, um, they can't follow Bob Ross. There's not enough time. You know, they do a half an hour, they cut it down so much that you miss parts. Oh, the house one? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that wasn't too long. A little over an hour, I think, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure. Is it the yellow house one, the outside of the house? Or the wet on wet one with the little cabin in it? The yellow one? Excuse me. Yeah, the yellow one. Yeah. Yeah, that one's an acrylic one. That's in the older style of painting, but it was a little bit quicker, like half the size of some of the other ones. The wet on wet, I can actually paint faster, but I can't I can't do it in good conscience myself and skip parts that people really need to see. Um, I like Bob Ross as much as anybody else did, but there's a lot of things that you can't see being done, um, without slowing it down and making the video longer. Now, because I'm experienced with wet on wet, I can watch one of his videos and still paint one because I know how to do it, and I know how everything works that he does. I know how to do all the trees already and the mountains and all that stuff, so it's not a big deal. But if somebody wants to really watch every little detail on how he's doing something, you can't because a lot of it gets skipped. And that's just because they had a time restriction. I mean, there was no other way they could do it really, and that's true. That's a special, paper for acrylic painting and watercolor, and you can use it for oil too. It's a mixed media paper. It's not very cheap. It's a bit pricey, but, yeah, it's a lot heavier bond. I think it's like a 90 bond or something like that. It's very thick, and it's made to absorb the paint and whatnot. Now, it can tear if you're using, acrylic or watercolor. In fact, in the video I did today, I'm doing that paper, um, and if you keep rubbing too hard with it with a brush or something, it can crumble up a little bit. So you gotta be careful, and you can't push the brushes too hard on it because you can tear it, and you can't over wet it. You have to wet when you're using watercolor or acrylic, but you've gotta use, a nice mister bottle, and it's really a fine mist, just enough to keep it a little bit damp. Now the house one you saw, the outside there, that was not paper. The one if it's the one I'm thinking of, the yellow one with the stairs going up, that one was on real canvas. It might have been on a canvas board, but, that was on canvas. The painting of that yellow house that's outside is if it's got the stairs going up to the house, all the stairs, that one was done on canvas, not on paper. If it looked like paper, it might have been a canvas board. I don't remember which one I did it on, but I'm pretty sure that one was on, without a doubt was on canvas. It was on a canvas board. Canvas board has actual real canvas stuck on the front of the board. It's like a real strong cardboard like in the backing of it. It's really very stiff. But you can use that for oil or acrylic, watercolor, doesn't matter. They're a lot more moisture resistant. I like to paint on canvas mostly, especially if it's oil painting. Oil painting, I prefer using either canvas board or canvas. I rarely use oil on paper of any kind, but I do use paper for acrylic, or I don't do any watercolor usually. Sometimes I'll do acrylic similar to watercolor where I'll actually water the acrylic down like it's a watercolor, but it's still acrylic. Now with oil painting, unless it's wet on wet, if it's a traditional painting that's oil, I still always block in with acrylic. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. But I block in with acrylic because it's a lot faster to block in. And the key to using acrylic when you're oil painting is it doesn't have to be perfect at all, not even close to perfect. You block in, you're just putting in the colors about where you want them to be, And the point of using acrylic is it dries so fast. You can block in a whole painting with acrylic very quickly. And it gives you a base and an idea of what you're painting before you even start painting really with oil. So that'll dry within minutes. And when that dries, then you can go immediately and start painting with oil over the top of it. And then you do your fine painting over the top of the acrylic. Makes a huge difference because you know where you want everything to be, and also you can change it because you can paint over acrylic with oil very easily, and you can change your mind basically if you decide, well, I don't want a tree there. You can paint over it with oil. You can grade over it, no problem. Or if you don't like the colors you chose in acrylic, they don't have to be the perfect color. They can be just somewhere close to it. Say your trees or whatever, you just do the background of the trees and whatever, and blotch them in. Basically, you don't even have to worry about too much about doing tree trunks and all that stuff. Just a line. Basically, then you know where they're going to be about. You go for your perfection with the oil after that. Yes, there is an art paper. It's like I said, it's called mixed media paper, and it's very thick. And there is some that you can actually use for oil. And some people use that particular paper. In fact, a lot of people do. They'll use pastels on that paper. And there's also paper that's out there that's even a bit more pricey, but you can use it for acrylic, oil, watercolor, whatever you want. And it comes in like a pad form. In fact, I probably have one in here somewhere, but yep, I do. So this is mixed media paper right here. And this whole pad, as you can see, there's only 15 sheets in this whole pad. And it probably costs $10 at least. But you can see how thick this paper is. Can you tell how thick that is? It's not very thin. It's a heavier bond paper. It's got a little bit of a texture to it for painting on. It's not super slick, but it's smooth enough for doing portraits or whatever you want to paint. And this is a 9x12 pad. And this one just says mixed media. This one's the company's name is Strathmore. This is the best one they make. And let's see, acid free. That's part of the key to it. It's acid free. It's heavyweight for finished artwork, wet and dry media. It doesn't tell me the bond weight of it, but I would guess it's probably more, at least 60, if not more. And you can use a bond paper also. Let me see. Now, when I teach like people here, I get just a normal paper, but it's a heavy bond, and you can tell probably by the sound that it's pretty thick. And this also is basically an acid-free paper, but it's cheaper. It's like, I think it's like 100 sheets or more for $8 or something like that. But you get a lot more you can do with it. Standard size, so you can frame them. And I use stuff like this for teaching, like the special classes I do here and stuff like that, because we do mostly acrylic. I can draw a picture and then I can just copy the picture and then I can paint it. and it's a lot more cost effective that way. Although I do use Canvas for these classes too, but it's a lot easier for me when if I'm doing 6 people into a class, it's easier for me to print it out, and it's already drawn out for them. But that's basically like a cardstock you'd use for business cards, basically. Same kind of stuff. But it's not that bad. I mean, if you use a mixed media and it's 15 sheets to a pad and it's only $10, I mean, $10 divided by 15, that's less than $1 a page. Really, it's pretty cheap. So, and if you do a nice painting on it and frame it and sell it, I mean, you keep your costs down pretty good that way if you just use that mixed media paper. But I don't use it for acrylic mostly. And if you make a mistake, you won't tend to get tears in your eyes because you got to throw something away that was really expensive, like canvas. Canvas is very costly. It's a lot more money to buy canvas. Although I will do acrylic on canvas too at different times. It depends on the customer too. If they do a commission, they want it on real canvas, not on canvas board. You have a canvas that's stretched on the wood, and that's the way they want it. Then that's the way I would do it because they're the ones that's paying for it. So, but it really doesn't matter as far as the life of the painting, whether it's done on a canvas board or a stretched canvas. Canvas board does have its advantages because over time, real canvas that's stretched on wood tends to get slackened up. It loosens up. And so you either got to know how to re-stretch it yourself or bring it somewhere and have it done, which could be costly. But there are tricks to that too. You can get a spray mister bottle on a real painting and go on the back side of it, just mist it with water, just rub it around with your hand. And what will happen is the canvas will re-shrink and tighten up. So it's not floppy in the middle anymore. But that's how you can tighten up the canvas. And you do that really when you paint. Before you even paint on canvas, you should mist the back of it, get it all damp. You may have to do it a couple of times. You don't want to put too much water back there. Just enough to spread around a little bit. Use your hand to just move it around and just keep tapping it. It'll get as tight as a drum. Then you don't have to worry about putting them little wedges in the corner and all that stuff. And most of the time, with my experience, them little wedges, they never seem to cut them properly. And you tap them in with a hammer or something, a lot of times they'll end up splitting the damn corners. Hey, Recon, how you doing, buddy? You missed all yesterday. That is one hell of a find. What can I tell you? That one's going to break the bank. We missed you. We held out for a little while, but I was really tired yesterday too, and it'd been quite a bit from the funeral and all that stuff, and we were just recovering still, so I just decided to keep it to an hour. But I did get a dang video done today finally. I'm having to reconvert it now to send it up to YouTube. Yeah, you can use a spray bottle as long as it gets a really fine mist. I use a real small one, but you can get one of like the Hobby Lobby or Michaels because they mist a little bit finer. But you can, as long as you don't spray it, make sure you move it when you're doing it. Can just as long as you get a good mist out of it, hold it back a little bit if you need to, but that'll work too. Oh, it went okay. There's only like 10 people there. There weren't that many people. I thought it was gonna rain, but it didn't. The rain held off. So when you gonna get your new phone in, Recon, so you can stop being late and paying all these fines? When do you get the bill? Good God. So that right there, guys, is the painting I did today. That's gonna be the new video coming out. It's called, Temple in the Cliffs. Temple in the Cliff. That was done in acrylic, not oil. It really was a lot it took me a lot longer than I really wanted it to, I tell you what, it just took a long time. Another hectic day? Yeah. Sorry to hear that, Recon, but this one didn't come out quite as good as I really wanted it to, but it's okay. I had to stop because it came up to 2 hours of working on this picture, which I if I didn't have to teach it, I probably could have painted it in 45 minutes, but, teaching how to do it and all that, it took way longer than I wanted to. I really don't even care for it that much. I may have to do some more to it for my own liking, but there was a lot more detail. Thank you, Ken and Recon. There's a lot more detail that really needed to go into it, but it was just taking so much time showing people all of that detail that's in it so far that it I had to stop. And plus, my camera battery went dead in the middle of the damn shooting, which it shouldn't have because it's supposed to last for many more hours than it did. So I had to stop and recharge, which made it tough because I had to keep spraying the acrylic paint to keep it wet. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But anyway, that's excuse me, that's what I was doing today. For hours. And that video hopefully will be coming out tomorrow, hopefully. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, I don't know. Depends on how long it is. It takes forever to 'cause that's a pretty good sized video, which aggravated me even more because with my upload speed, it takes forever. I mean, when them videos are big, it takes too long. Excuse me. Well, that's easy for people to say, Ken, but you really don't know what it really costs to do something like that. That's a huge amount of overhead. I've gone to galleries before, a couple of them, and actually done classes, and even the galleries get 30 to 40% of whatever I make, and I have to supply everything. So I don't make the gallery makes all the money. I don't. Because by the time I buy all the paint, materials, the brushes, the canvas, and pay for all the easels everybody uses and stuff, I don't really make much at all. I have to like when I do ones like for the nursing home people, I don't make anything really on them. By the time I finish paying my gas, because I was driving like 3 towns over, and I had to pay for I think it was 6 easels, enough paint for 6 or 8 people, whatever. I had to have extra. The amount of paint, easels, all that stuff, brushes and everything, it literally cost me over $1,000 just to do those classes for the nursing home people, and I sure did not make it back because some of the classes I did for some of them for free because they did not have the money to pay for them. They just didn't have enough. They didn't have the money. Um, so I ended up doing, at least 1 or 2 people for free every class because I felt bad for them and I wanted to get them out of the nursing home. And I didn't broadcast that they would be free, but when I knew, because usually the art director there would the from the gallery would tell me they who can't afford it, whether it's 1 or 2 people or whatever, and then I'd just say, "Okay, I'll do them for free," and they would tell them, and we didn't tell everybody else because we didn't want anybody to feel bad because they paid and somebody else got it for free, but even though they probably would have understood. Of course, so then by the time you figure the gas, the time, the classes were like 4 hours long, setting up the class, plus buying the palettes for everybody. I mean, basically everybody had to be set up to do a painting, and that's pretty expensive when you're doing it for 6 or 7 people. Then you gotta clean up everything, you clean all the palettes yourself, um, mineral spirits, took a lot of mineral spirits. Mineral spirits is expensive and, especially the odorless, so, uh, you have to be doing it just really more to help other people and whatever, and I wanted to do it for the nursing home people because they were stuck in a nursing home, nowhere to go. Some of them didn't even have any family that come and visit them, but it gave them an outing where they could get out of the nursing home as long as they could walk enough to get them into the classroom and participate in something besides laying in bed watching a TV or out playing, bingo or something like that. Give them something different, things that they probably never did before, like paint, and most of them never even picked up a brush in their life, and some of them did some really nice, really good-looking paintings and shocked themselves and their relatives. No, Doc hasn't been in yet. Nobody's been here except for you and Ken. That was the other reason we shut down early last night. There was just Ken and I last night. Doc never showed up yesterday either. I guess it depends on how he feels, I guess. I think he's still got some ill feelings toward, the problem that he was dealing with the other channel, and, maybe some days he just gets a little bit more frankly, he may get a little bit more pissed off about it and just doesn't get on. No coffee tonight, Ken? Didn't have any made. So I guess I could get some Gatorade or something to drink. Hard for me to talk. Yeah, Trinity came by for not very long, 10 minutes. She was at work, so she had to leave. She just wanted to come in and say hi. I guess they were closing up for the night at work, and she was doing paperwork in the office, so she just jumped on to say hi. Yeah, in fact, I asked her where her sister Sierra was, and they live. They don't live in the same town. They live one town over from each other, I think. But I know they talk to each other probably every day. They probably text each other multiple times a day, probably. Well, Ken, I got Gatorade, not water. I still don't like water that much, so I'll drink Gatorade before I will that. Well, yeah, I should drink more water or something besides coffee. My wife tells me that all the time. And I know that because my legs have been cramping a bit lately. Remember last night I got a cramp, Charlie horse. Not enough water, usually. Good for you, Recon. I tell you what, some people just have to keep the fire burning. That's so sad, you know, especially when it's adults. When they're adults, they should know better than to keep the fire burning, so to speak. They just shut the hell up and mind their own business, basically. Well, I do eat bananas. Yeah, I eat bananas and cereal or whatever, or just grab one and eat one. Potassium, mostly, I think, is what helps the legs more than anything. I even took one of my wife's melatonins last night, those sleeping jelly gummy things. The little 3 milligram one. She got some 5 milligram too, but I tried the weaker one. Just trying to get some sleep instead of being, waking up every hour or whatever. It didn't really help a whole lot, but I think I got 3 or 4 hours straight before I woke up early this morning. So maybe I need to try a 5 milligram. I don't know, but I don't want to take nothing too heavy because I still have to get up early in the morning anyway. Because I usually do breakfast for the clients. If they're just having cereal, I don't have to be too awful awake. But if I have to cook for them, which I do pretty often, every other day or whatever, bacon, eggs, or sausage, eggs, grits, whatever, potatoes. They like to eat. I'll tell you that much. Then gotta be up a little bit earlier to do the cooking. And of course, you gotta be, watch the portions because if you're familiar with special needs people, a lot of them don't know when to stop eating. Um, I've had people say before, well, let them have seconds or thirds or whatever they want, but no, because they won't stop. Some of them, we've had them here that they won't stop eating. If you put food in front of them, they won't stop till they get sick. And after you cleaned up that mess a few times, you learn to give them proper portions and not give them seconds and thirds. Not to mention the fact that they get very overweight if you feed them unlimited amounts of food because you kind of have to watch their diet for them because they don't know the difference. I do the shopping myself, and we spend quite a bit shopping too. Once a month, I do the major shopping, which is all the canned goods and stuff like that you put up on the shelf and whatever, and meat, whatever goes in the freezer and stuff like that. I mean, I think our shopping bill when I do the major shopping is somewhere close to, well, this is when we had 6 clients. We don't have 6 now, we got 3, but so that cuts it down a lot, but when we had 6 or 7 people before, we ran the major shopping would be $1,000 a month minimum. Plus, every 4 or 5 days, I had to go get milk and bread and, perishable stuff and add another probably $70, $80 every week on top of that. But of course, we had, a food budget. We just had to try to stay within that budget, and we also go by a menu. So you have to make sure you have the food for the menu. Although we are allowed to substitute things, like say we run out of green beans, we can substitute green beans for beets or kernel corn or peas or whatever. And the dietitian goes over that, but the dietitian tends to change it sometimes and put stuff on there that we don't want on there, including some of the clients. Like, they don't like some of the stuff. None of them do, and for some reason, the dietitians, they don't listen to you at all. Like, they'll put, hominy on there, and none of them like hominy. None of them. And I don't either. I hate the stuff. It's horrible. They'll put it on. They'll put stuff on there that these guys won't eat. And you tell them till you're blue in the face, they put it on anyway. Like you're going to force them to eat it? Not going to happen. No, we've been pretty lucky. None of them have allergy to foods. Now, there's certain things some of them don't like. We have one here that absolutely hates oatmeal. Can't stand to eat oatmeal. But strangely enough, they'll eat oatmeal cookies or those oatmeal snack pies with the cream filling in the middle. I don't understand it. Oatmeal, still oatmeal, but they'll eat those, but not the oatmeal itself. So it's this some things that they won't eat, but not very much. They're all not that hard to satisfy. They'll eat anything, basically. I always said you could boil your shoes and they'd probably eat it. They're not that fussy. I was actually hoping that I could have done more than one video today. I kind of was hoping I'd get enough time in the other one when it went faster. I'd like to have at least done another one or two, just so I'd have a couple of extra ones that I could schedule for a later time. We cook everything. Yeah, we cook everything. I mean, Thanksgiving we usually do at least one turkey. Sometimes we'll do two big ones because we have family that comes over too. Mashed potatoes, gravy, homemade gravy. My wife makes probably half a dozen pies at least, She'll always make banana bread, pumpkin bread, all that stuff, sometimes cookies. Um, she does the baking part. I'll do a lot of the cooking part, the turkey and whatnot. Sometimes we'll do a ham and a turkey, plus turnip, squash, cranberry sauce, whatever. Now you're making me hungry as hell. Thank you very much, Recon. Well, we had 5 here for a minute, but the 5th person left already. I mean, I like oatmeal okay, but I usually just don't eat it. My wife likes it probably more than I do, but sometimes she'll make some and ask me if I wanted some, and I'll have some. But they all go to bed usually about 9:30, especially if they have the workshop that they go to the next day, which they don't tomorrow. But I think they're up a little bit later tonight. If they're not working the next day, sometimes we'll let them stay up till 10:30 or something. But especially if they're watching a movie or something like that. But normally by 9, because they're on such a schedule and they're used to it. Usually by 9, they're ready to go to bed. So, I mean, their schedule is pretty rock solid, and they're used to doing certain things at a certain time, and if you try to vary that schedule very much, they kinda rebel. They want to they feel comfortable in that schedule. I think it's because they just know what to expect and what they are going to be doing, and, even with meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, they all basically around the same time. In fact, they'll remind you. If it's getting a little bit late for lunchtime, they'll remind you, you know, "Isn't it lunchtime?" No, they don't like change at all. That's that's the key right there. They don't like change. We get asked a lot by other people out in public and whatever, "Well, why don't you change it? Do something different. Do this or that or whatever." A lot of people just don't understand. They do not like change. They'll do other things, but you gotta prep them for it. You gotta let them know, "We're gonna do something special," or whatever, and get them thinking about it, and then they're okay with it. But you can't just change something spur of the moment usually. They don't like that change. They just can't comprehend it because as far as they're concerned, they're doing whatever was on that schedule, they do it every day. They don't wanna change. It's just like the workshop they go to. They have, like, some school stuff there, they learn stuff, and they'll do little jobs like refinishing furniture, and sanding and stuff like that, and tearing rags and whatever, and, um, if they get sick at home here, they will lie to you because they don't want to miss going to work. They will lie to you. You have to figure out that they're sick because they'll say, "No, I'm not sick." They can have a cold, and you can hear them coughing, and he can even be throwing up. "I'm not sick. I'm not sick," 'cause they don't wanna not go. They've gotta do the same thing every day, so they'll lie to you. Well, Probably the older you get, maybe the less you like it, I don't know. I don't mind as much, I mean, I kind of have a lot of the same routine out of necessity more than anything. I don't mind some change myself here and there, but I always fall back on whatever I normally do, basically. My problem is I'm one of them people that I think about so many things at one time that, people don't understand that. I can be thinking about doing a painting or and, maybe even doing some stuff on the computer, doing some graphics and stuff on the computer, thinking about I need to put new strings on my guitar, I gotta do the pool or whatever. I mean, I got so many things I'm thinking about at once. When people interrupt my train of thought, they get mad because I don't really hear them, and plus I'm a bit hard of hearing. I just don't wear my hearing aids, um, so they get aggravated with me. My wife especially. Well, it's probably not true from this group home's point of view because they do get they when they were younger, they did a lot of activities. Um, they've been to every theme park in Florida multiple times. Disney World, Universal, they've been there multiple times. When my parents were younger, but I helped my father take a school bus and we converted it into a big camper, and they would take them camping, all of them. And there was 6 or 7 of them then, 6 of them, and they would take them camping all over the place. Up to Georgia, up into the mountains up in Georgia. They'd go up to Six Flags over Georgia. They'd these guys have been on 3 cruises. 3, not 1, 3. Not many people, even normal people, get to go on 3 cruises. Um, from, Carnival Cruise Lines, the Big Red Boat was one of them, and Carnival again. I mean, they've been everywhere. You can't imagine the places they've been. SeaWorld, Wet and Wild, I mean, they everywhere. Used to be a place called Six Gun Territory in Ocala, Silver Springs. I can't name them all. They've been to all of them, every one of them. So they've had more activities probably than most normal people get a chance to do because at one point in time, they weren't going to that workshop. So my parents did a lot more with them because, of course, a lot of them were a lot younger then. 2 of them came here when they were 12. Now they're like 50. So they were kids. They were younger kids then, so they could do a lot more with them. But even bringing them to places, the theme parks and stuff like that is a bit of a challenge because, this is before the pandemic, way before all that, but back when things were normal, they still they still had a hard time dealing with some things like, when you go to Disneyland or Universal, the amounts of people there, the crowds, um, can be very intimidating for them. So you really gotta keep an eye on them, and I think they would bring other people with them. Back then they had staff besides us, that went with them. They had to. Actually, they actually have the right to do basically whatever they want because not too many years ago, this state actually did a stupid thing and made a law where even if it puts them in danger, they get a right to do it. Even though they don't know it may be dangerous, they still have a right to do it if they want to. Meaning, for example, I'm in a busy city with someone, a client, and they decide they want to cross the street with cars going 40 miles an hour both ways. They have a right to do that, which it puts you in a really bad spot because if you try to stop them, if they decide they want to do it, you can interfere with their rights. Yet, if they get killed, it's still your fault. That's our political system. So we just don't bring them into the big city. Yeah. Yeah, these guys have been to zoos and everything. I mean, they've been everywhere. I had a boat one time, a big old 21-foot tri-hull boat. I'd bring them up and down to Swanee. My father was alive then. We'd go up and down to Swanee. We'd bring them fishing. Um, that was a real tough one, bringing them fishing because we had a couple of them that tended to let go of the fishing pole when they cast it. So we were buying fishing poles pretty often. But that was a real tough one too, doing that. But they still get to ride up and down in a boat. That was a lot of fun still. I think the last time we went, we tried the fishing for a little bit and lost a couple fishing poles, and we just decided to just ride up and down the Swanee River. And mine was a big the boat I had was a big inboard. I'm not talking about this is a long time ago. And, there was a Merc Cruiser. And so we ended up just riding up and down the river some, and frankly, my father enjoyed that more than anybody else probably because he just liked to drive the boat. But I actually rebuilt that engine in that boat too. It was an inboard engine that I just ripped it out and rebuilt it totally, totally. Oversized pistons and all. That was a that was one of them cases where it's um a boat is one of them things that, it's a nice thing to get, but the happiest day of your life is when you get rid of that damn thing. Oh, I know that. I know that, Recon. I know that. I knew you wasn't directing it directly to me. I know what you're saying. No problem. Don't think I don't understand because I do. It's hard to have conversations about a lot of the special needs people because people are so afraid that they'll offend somebody, or some of them really don't care, but people are afraid they'll offend somebody, or even though you dealt with them a lot of our life, like we have, um, finding the most polite way to say something or explain something to people sometimes is even tough. Yeah, I mean that's just part of it. I mean, it's part of it. We took a big cut just to keep things going and whatever, and it's going to cost us for deal. It already has. Um, but we don't regret it. We'll just have to deal with whatever comes our way. You know, unfortunately, we uh, just can't find any more clients, and Of course, we're getting older, way older too now, so it's getting harder for us to. But we'll just have to deal with it one day at a time. You don't need to erase anything. Nothing's there that's inappropriate. Things have come a long way from when we first started doing this 30 years ago altogether. They've come society has grown up finally to a point that a lot of people are more accepting of people with disabilities like these. And whether you may not have ever seen it or whatever, but of course, many, many years ago, people like this were kept in a closet, literally in a closet. People would shut them in their rooms and forgot about them. Threw them some food in there once in a while. And I know for a fact, because I've seen people that did it when I was young, when I was a kid. They literally put them in their room, and they didn't even get dressed. They had their underwear on. I knew a guy that he lived in his underwear. Sat there and watched TV in his underwear. The mother would just throw him some food now and then, and that was his whole life. Watching TV, eat, whatever, and that was his whole existence. And people very much shunned people like these. In fact, it was like the old saying goes, they got cooties. They didn't want to touch them, get near them, talk to them, be anywhere around them. They would go out of their way to get away from them. And whether anybody wants to admit that or not, that's the facts. I've seen it many times. And I remember many, many years ago, 25 years ago even, or less, my wife and I bringing these clients to restaurants. This is a fact. And we brought them into some nice restaurants, and the manager would come up to us and ask us to leave. Because they didn't want them in there. Even though the ones that we have here are very well behaved, they don't do anything inappropriate. They know how to behave in public. They are very friendly. They'll try to shake people's hand or whatever. But we have to try to restrain them from even doing that. But still, we were asked to leave. And in fact, I'm a very blunt person, so I very verbally and very loudly would tell the manager off before I left. A lot of times people would leave right after I said something. There'd be a few people that had some compassion about it, and they would just get up and say, "Give my bill." They would leave at the same time because they knew that what the manager was doing was wrong. And other places that we brought them, they didn't want them there. Even movie theaters, we've been rejected from going into movie theaters. All that's changed now because of advocacy groups and stuff like that, human rights, laws that were put into effect. And so people don't get away with it anymore. And these businesses don't get away with it because they do have a right to go wherever they want to go, like anybody else. No, they did. They did. After a while, things started actually getting better when people finally figured out, no, they weren't normal, but they wanted to be normal. Well, there's Jennifer sandbagging again. Yeah, this is not a nursing home, by the way, at all. There's a big difference between a nursing home and a group home. Totally different. Yeah, that's true. They didn't choose to be that way. But anyway, things got better. Things have gotten so we've been in restaurants now. We've had people or couples or whatever that actually would pick up the bill and pay the bill for everybody in a group. That's happened multiple times now. So, and now the people are being a lot more friendly to them now. and more accepting, and it's a very big noticeable difference. So people are getting better. You didn't sandbag? Should we believe her, Recon? Do you really think that we believe her that she didn't sandbag? She's done it so much, it's hard for us to believe that, right? Should we take a vote on it? Do we believe Jennifer was sandbagging or not? Yeah, because the bill would be pretty high. When you bring these guys out to eat dinner somewhere, yeah, you're talking way over $100. But we've had many people do it in the recently in the past. Ah, okay. You just got out of the shower. Well, I hope you put some clothes on. I know you're home. Thank God for that. Well, guys, believe it or not, we've got 9 new subscribers recently. It's finally showing me that. 9 of them. Recon in the eyeballs. Oh, yeah? All she ever types is the eyeballs, huh? Huh. Ain't that strange? Maybe she can't type anything else. Maybe she's just bashful, Recon. Who knows? Maybe she's shy, don't want to talk. Yeah, she must be just shy. Yeah, Doc wasn't on last night either, but I don't know. Doc always seemed to kind of go in spurts, so to say. You know, he'd come on for 2 or 3 days or whatever, 1 or 2 days, then he'd skip a day or 2, and then he'd come back again, and, I mean, Doc, from what I've seen, that seems to be about the way he is. I mean, once in a while, he'll be on for, a whole week, I guess, sometimes or something close to that, but then he'll skip a day or 2. Uh-oh. Recon, you scaring the girls? It's the shadow. The shadow scares them. The boogeyman Recon. Yeah, he probably does lurks a lot. Well, when he's here, normally he doesn't lurk here, but maybe he does sometimes before he says anything. That could be. No, I don't mind lurking. I wouldn't mind if 100 people come in here and lurking for a while. I'll just stick a movie on, walk away, and let them watch the movie. Yeah, yeah, he knows everybody here pretty well, so he doesn't have to lurk. He can say whatever he wants. He knows that. Yes, of course, so I can get some hours. Recon's slacking on me. I mean, Ken watched the whole video today. Recon didn't watch nothing, I bet. Yeah. Some of your buddies you just can't rely on, I just can't. I'm just messing with you, Recon. I do like to pick on Recon, though. Of course, he returns the favor usually, but I do like to pick on him. Minnie was on, was it a couple days ago? She was actually lurking for a while. Most of the live session, she was lurking because she was, I don't know if she was doing something in her craft room or something, or watching a movie with her husband. I think she's watching a movie with her husband. I'm not sure you were here that day that I don't know, I think you were, Ken, but you might have forgot. She didn't say anything until right before we was getting ready to shut down, probably 10 or 15 minutes before, and she said she had been there. I know. Blame it on the phone, Recon. Be so glad when you get the new phone so you can't blame it on the phone anymore. Whee! Well, Minnie doesn't normally lurk. I guess she maybe does a little bit, but normally, from at least from my experience when we was at Brad's, watching Brad's, when Minnie came in, she usually always said hi to everybody. She may not say nothing for a while, but she always would say hi. Oh yeah, the coming home, coming to America too. Yeah. Did Tim get the battery in his bike today? Did it work okay? Did you get it to start? Got the charger all set up for it and everything? Good. Great. Glad to hear it. So now he's all set to be able to plug it in to put the charger on it and not have to worry about it being dead. That'll make that battery last a long time. And that's what the people that O'Reilly's told him. If he wants that battery to last, he needs to put a battery tender on it, which is what he got today, and plug it in when he gets back from riding it. Good. Oh, excuse me, got hiccups. I can't believe Recon knows all these people and he hasn't got them, any of them over here yet. Oh, what a fail. Fail, Recon. Fail. All these channels you go to and you're not bringing anybody here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like a trickle charger, Recon. They call it a battery tender for a motorcycle. Most of those are like 1 or 2 amp, but this was a 3 amp. That way he can use it because it comes with another adapter that has the battery clamps and he can put it on the car if he wants to. It's not a lot, 3 amps, but it's a lot better than having a 1 or 2 amp on it. I see one of them scratch channels, excuse me, Scratch and Itch or something like that. I can't remember which one it was now, but one of them guys that I used to watch once in a while, he hit $1 million ticket yesterday, the day before, or something like that. Now you see what I'm up against, Recon. Nobody will listen. That's the story of my life. Nobody will listen. No matter what I say, I just can't get them to listen. No. Yeah. I don't remember what it was called, but one number, $1 million. That's the one I need to hit. You saw that too, Ken? I didn't actually watch it because it made me sick because I could never hit nothing that good. So I didn't watch it yet. But I know he won $1 million. I saw the wording of it, knew it was $1 million hit. And I was like, damn. You know, I would be happy if I could just hit 100,000 or 50,000. 100,000 better, I could pay off my bills and get a place to live. Well, go get some. I just handed you a ton of money, go get you some. Why? Tim can drive. What? Don't you mean tell me you can't make it 1 mile up to Papa's in that thing? Eh. Well, you're gonna have to drive it sooner or later because when you put the new tires on it, which I assume because you said when you get some money there, you're gonna put a new set of tires on it, you gotta drive it there anyway. Get the tires put on it. It's bollied? What's bollied? Bald? Oh, I know it's bald is what you're trying to say. Jennifer, do you want me if I go to the store tomorrow for something, do you want me to stop so you can give me some money to pick you up some? Yes or no? You just have to tell me which ones you want. Hello? Your tire is separating? That's not good. Your tire's getting a divorce. Now it's separating first. Ha ha ha. Jennifer, do you want me to stop at your house tomorrow to pick up some money to get some? Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll be getting any tomorrow, but I may have to go to the store or something. Jennifer, daughter, Beja. Her grandfather, Jennifer's grandfather, on my wife's side of the family, when she was a baby, always called her Beja, his little Beja. And she's always loved that name. Of course, I wanted to mess with her and tell her that Beja actually meant brat, but I never did tell her that. I should have because that would have ruined her day probably. Okay, I won't tell them about the time that you as a baby dragging around your diaper with you while I was working on a motorcycle in the apartment. When your mother came home, oh, and you were all greasy. Beja. It was just a name that he called her, Beja. Kind of a pet name. That's what he gave her, a little pet name. It probably means little devil in some other language. Oh, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. My, my, my. I'm getting mighty thirsty, though. I know that. Wow, we got 133 views in the last 48 hours. Good night, Ken. Have a good night, buddy. We appreciate you coming on. Have a good night, bud. I'm sorry I didn't get to do the live stream earlier today. I tried to, but I just got too tied up. Now that things are starting to settle down a little bit, maybe I can start getting into doing one, even if it's for an hour a day or whatever. I'll do it to you, son. I'll embarrass him. I have no problem with that. He knows it. I do not. Your mother does. Really? Huh. Yes, she does. Well, YouTube, I just got the new analytics kind of refreshed here, and YouTube's been pretty damn good to me this month. 9,200 impressions, up 21%. I guess my granddaughters have been working overtime. Impression click-through rate up 25% to 7.8. Views up 268% in the last 28 days. 2,800 views. They must have a lot of friends. That means it's damn good. And they've been watching videos like crazy. Of course, I have too. I found out a little trick. I told the guys how I do it. On a desktop, you can actually duplicate the video 10, 15 times, whatever you want, 10 times. So I do it on both computers and do it on the tablets and phone. And I can literally get a couple hundred hours in a day easy. And I've been doing it now for a week. So we are very, very close to the 4,000 hours. We will have 4,000 hours before next week is over. Guarantee you. Which is awesome. Now, views from the impressions which is what YouTube puts out, 27.2% from YouTube recommending my content. The amount of views that we actually get from those impressions was 715. Watch time from those impressions was 172.39. Just from the impressions alone, which is excellent. Very nice. We're very, very close. All right, we'll see you later, Jennifer. Love you. Have a good night. Yeah, I'm going to shut the stream down anyway. It's just me and Recon, and I don't want him to fall asleep at the keyboard or something like that. Yeah, strangely enough, he hasn't come on lately saying that he's washing baby bottles. I just thought of that. Of course, his phone's been giving him trouble lately too, shutting off at random times and whatnot and whatever. 120? There you go. All right. Nice job. They do have them balls that you get the little plastic things in there, disposable. You just pull them out and throw them away, you know. Everything else is disposable nowadays. All righty, we'll see you later, Jennifer. Like I said, good night. Have a good night. We love you. I'm glad Tim got his bike running and everything. I'm sure that made him happy. Yep. Good night, Recon. Have a good night, buddy. And thanks for coming again. Appreciate it for sure. And we'll catch you tomorrow night. Have a good night, everyone.